How old are your kids now? Your two sons?
14 and 9.
14 and 9.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you have one who's already a teenager.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Don't remind me because he'll have a good day.
I want to. There are a couple of things as we wrap things up here that I want to ask you about traveling as a family and also being a content creator as a family. First, I want to touch on just the travel with the family. What kind of impact do you think that your travels have had on your children early on in their lives? Because I would imagine that they're very worldly for their age.
Yeah. No, that's one thing we've been blessed. I mean, the 14-year-old when he was about 12, so we were in Rwanda. No, we were just in Rwanda and Tanzania. We come back. We were like in Utrecht in the Netherlands, and he's like, Dad, this is kind of special. Like this is a little bit different than other people's lives. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And I'm glad you say. And he's like, this is really special. I'm like, and I was very proud. 'Cause I'm like, that's when he really realized that this is a really special thing. And my youngest one, he's so used to traveling. He's like, I miss hotels. He's a different cat. But I mean, it's funny because people be like, there's like all these things. The kids didn't say that. The kids didn't say that. People pretend like their kids say something really like really deep. And my youngest, he'll come up with some of those really deep things. I'm like, I'm not sharing that because no one would ever believe that a 6-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old would say that. And basically, he comes down. It's like he misses meeting people when we travel. It's like I miss the cultures. I miss meeting these kids. And for them, I mean, it's really great to see, like, there's all kinds of crazy stuff in the world. And if the news is on, they'll hear stuff and they'll be like, why do people do that? Like, that's dumb. I'm like, exactly. A 9-year-old is saying, this is really dumb. Why would you do that? And he'll go into like, we were here and he'll bring up something from one of our trips. It's like, proof. See, we're all the same people. I'm like, there we go. We're all the same people. That's what I love to hear. We're all together in this, and I think that's one of the things because kids will hear stuff on the in the school, and they'll hear stuff on the street, my kids. I'm really glad that they're like, that's wrong. Like you shouldn't say that. I'm like, cool. That you feel comfortable enough to be able to do that. So hopefully that'll keep going because you never know when they're teenagers, crazy stuff happens. But we're hoping.
How about socially? Like how in terms of just being traveling a lot, like do you think that's helped them become more extroverted or just be more comfortable around different kinds of people?
Well, anybody who has kids knows the kids are different. They're both very different. And one wants to be friends with everybody, and one just is cool with a couple of friends, but he'll play with anybody. And so when we go around, they have no problem making friends with new people and talking to new people. So I've never been worried about that. They both kind of clam up around adults a little bit, but that's kind of typical with kids. But I'm not worried about them like meeting people and making friends when they go places because like you've been making friends in parks around the world where you didn't even speak the same language. You're like playing Uno and soccer with kids all day long and you couldn't say anything. Like I remember we were in Argentina and the kids are up in the room and we can hear the kids outside going, Kaler, because they couldn't say Caleb, but there was a soccer player named Kaler. So like we hear them, Kaler, like they're looking for him. So we went out to go play again. And he's like, he didn't speak any Spanish at the time. They didn't speak any English, but they had a great time for like 4 or 5 days in Iguazu Falls, so hopefully they'll keep that up.
Do your sons have any aspirations of doing YouTube themselves? Like, do your kids like watch Mr. Beast or these other like
Oh yeah,
really big?
my oldest loves Mr. Beast. He'll die. Mr. Beast did this. Mr. Beast did this. We got to get a Mr. Beast burger. So like we had to look and see where we're traveling. So I'm going to be in Vegas. So I got to pick up if we leave at the right time and I can get a Mr. Beast burger and bring it back. I'm like, dude, I won't be home for like 7 hours until he's like, I don't care. I'm like, all right. So they definitely are. They do not watch the cable. Like my oldest is all into YouTube. Like he was like, Dad, did you see this? I'm like, yeah, because I watch YouTube too. And so he and I will talk YouTube. And then my youngest, he's more of a Netflix guy, but he'll do the videos with me, like on my Professor Christmas channel, which is a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing. He's my taste tester, and so he'll do some videos with me. Whereas my 14-year-old's like, hell no, I'm not doing any videos with you. He's in the like, don't take my picture phase of life. We all were there. But it's funny because the 14-year-old, he's like, yeah, he gets the business side of YouTube and how things would work. I'm like, dude, you could do a good job on YouTube because he likes finance and stuff like that. I'm like, if you wanted to make a channel, you understand these things. You could help kids understand. He's like, yeah, I could do that, but I don't want to make the videos. I'm like, all right. I mean, you can't pressure people to make them. Like, if you want to do it, we can do it. And so like my youngest would be like, yeah, can we make that? Because I have all these Reese's eggs, Reese's Christmas trees, Reese's Valentine's hearts. So he's like, we have all the Reese's now. We can do that Reese's video. So I don't know if he wants the candy or if he wants to make the video, but whatever. I'll take what I can get. But it's funny because they will be good that they'll sit down and every year or two they'll do like a little interview Q&A from our patrons and our fans. So, and most of the times the same questions, but it's interesting to hear them answer when they're 3, when they're 6, when they're 7. Like you get the different answers. So, and then the voice changes.
Well, especially for your oldest now, who's like
the
14.
Are like we saw friends that we haven't seen since before. I mean, they live like 3 blocks away, and their son and our son, we've traveled together, all kinds of stuff. You'll see them in our videos sometimes, and they hadn't been able to hang out for 8 months, but we all got tested so we could have a Super Bowl party together. So we all got tested, and we all quarantined, stayed away from people for 2 weeks so we could actually hang out together. And it was just like, and the wife was like, oh my God, his voice. Because it like went, of course I didn't notice because I live with him, but yeah.
He had turned into like a baritone or something in 8 months.
With an occasional soprano in there.
Hey there, thank you so much for watching this excerpt of the Videocraft show presented by Video Husky. If you're a content creator that struggles to organize scripture ideas for your videos, I've got a resource for you. You can get a copy of our free script template. Using it can help you structure your videos and save you hours of time from filming in the process. To get it, all you have to do is just scroll down on this video, find the link in the description, and subscribe to our email list. From there, it'll get delivered straight to your inbox right after you sign up. And by the way, if you're enjoying these videos, can you do us just a quick favor and hit the like button before you go? And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel too, to stay up to date with all the content that we're creating here on this channel. And finally, be sure to tune into the Videocraft show presented by Video Husky on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever it is that you get your podcasts. We've got links in the description down below. If you want to watch or listen to the full episode, just tap the video right next to me over here, and that'll take you to the entire episode in which this excerpt is from. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.